Hey guys, I wanted to check in with you this week and talk about something that has been on my mind as I'm working through some things that I feel have held me back. And I'm really having to dig deep and think about all the things that I've learned on my own personal growth journey over the last 7.5 years. Many of you might know, and maybe you don't know, but I am a huge Tony Robbins fan. I own lots of his programs, books, and I've attended several of his events. I love the man. I love what he stands for. I love the content that he puts out, and he's helped me a lot. And if you don't know about him, he really talks about our 6 human needs. And let me see if I can rattle them off. Growth, contribution, certainty, uncertainty, significance, and love and connection. And so these are the things that we need to have fulfilled to feel good about ourselves or to feel relevant. And you can have those needs filled in a positive way or a negative way. And what drives people is the need to belong somewhere. Their biggest fears are not being loved, not belonging, and a lot of times you'll see that people self-sabotage because they either have a fear of success, a fear of failure, or oftentimes it's a fear of rejection, because people are really motivated by pain or pleasure. Those are the things that really push people and influence their behavior. And what's funny is that everybody wants pleasure. I mean, we see that the whole world is based around pleasure seeking activities or things. And as much as people are looking for that as maybe a way of distraction or a coping mechanism, if the pain is more measurable to them than the pleasure they're going to get from it, people will go to greater lengths to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. And it's funny that we have these coping mechanisms that come from, childhood. And what I've learned is that it is been a journey not only to grow myself and understand myself, but to unlearn the things that I have been doing, thinking, feeling, saying since I was a child. And oftentimes when you're a kid, especially if you come from a type of childhood like I did, there was abuse and not a lot of support, you find ways to cope. And if you don't ever take a step back and look at it from an adult's perspective, or where you are in your recovery from it, you may not realize that the coping mechanism that you've been instilling since a child no longer is really benefiting you. So for me, I don't know, we weren't really a feelings family, and when I say family, it was just my adopted mother, father, and myself. But when I would get emotional, when I would get beaten, it was one of those things that whenever it was done, it was done. You just have to suck it up and you go. And so I adopted this way about dealing with trauma, dealing with hard things, of just like, you suck it up and you go. You don't feel it, you don't react to it, you just get up and go. And I have been admired by a lot of people, and I have used that to gain significance, that's who I am, is that I can just have the worst shit happen to me and just continue on as if nothing happened. And I thought that was very beneficial. I thought that was one of my strongest suits. And whereas it does help in some degree, is that sometimes you just have to take care of a business, and if your world's crashing down on you, sometimes you just have to do things anyway. And so it has not been a complete curse, but at the same time, it's not something, now that I'm looking at it, that I really want to continue doing. Because here's the thing is, year after year, as we age, as we live, things stack up. And the more they stack up, and the longer you take to process it, grieve, get mad, go through whatever emotion you need to, come up with a solution to, something that's, causing you pain or discomfort in your life, then it's just going to keep rising and bubbling. And for me, I have a lot of like deep-seated, anxiety over being abandoned, being left, and I have a history of sabotaging any type of good type of relationship, friendship or romantic, if it seems like it's healthy. And I've always been one of those things that if things get good, it's like I'll leave you before you can leave me, because it's gonna happen anyways. And for me, this has happened in a lot of my friendships, and I spend way too much time worrying about people who don't appear to have the same feeling about me, or put in the same amount of time and energy. In 2015, my life completely changed. I decided to completely ditch the party lifestyle, and so that completely changed my social circle, social setting, and my entire routine. And there were people that really let me down and turned against me when I was making the positive changes. And intellectually, I knew that I should not take it personally. I knew that it had nothing to do with me. And I knew that I was better off. And looking at it intellectually, now feelings aside, I know that I am better off, but it really sucks. But I just sucked it up and went. And I'm become a very positive person. I wasn't always, but I've become a very positive person, and I prided myself on that. It's like, I can always look for the good in things, and I think that that's important. But at the same time, I didn't allow myself to be upset about things, and it just built and built and built, and things changed inside my organization and my business with my tribe. And when all of this happened, it's like everything just kind of came, to a boiling point, and it just hit me. And what's funny is, I've always prided myself on being this amazing friend. I'm like, I'm the person who's going to remember every little detail you said about you. I'm going to remember your kids' birthdays. I'm going to be the one that checks up on you. And then after all this happened, and I just got angry, I allowed myself to feel the hurt, then it's just like I tripped this switch, and I became a person that I never used to understand. And I've come across a lot of people like this. I literally just stopped giving a fuck. Like, I could have a conversation with somebody and not even remember a thing they said afterwards. I mean, little things, but like, I didn't take the time to listen. And it wasn't anything personal, personally about that certain person. It's just a time frame of that. When people come into my life, I've just been like, they're not going to stay long anyways. They're going to let me down. And so I just stopped caring. And I stopped paying attention. Well, I work in a business where you have to build relationships with people. I'm helping people completely change their lifestyle. They need to trust me. They need to get to know me just as much as I need to get to know them. So this has really hindered my business. This has really hindered me operating and functioning at my best as somebody's coach. And so I've had to really take a look at how I'm viewing people and working hard to change it. And so I was telling my mentor today that I had a call with, and then one of my best friends and business partners, I'm like, I need to get back to that person that I was. I need to work very hard on changing my coping mechanism, so I'm not just like suck it up and go and let's avoid the feelings, but let's deal with it now. Give myself kind of like a time period of like, okay, I'm going to be upset about this, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to give it time and energy, but here's an expiration date. And I need to work hard on building relationships with people, but also understand that it's not 0 to 100 like I view life, that people are going to let me down no matter what, but I can't go in to meeting somebody or trying to build a friendship or relationship with somebody with that automatic assumption that they're going to leave me, because I'm not putting anything into the relationship, and I'm not doing myself any favors. And so I'm working hard on this. I used to be a really great friend, and it's almost embarrassing to admit that I'm just a shitty friend now. I mean, I think I've done an okay job maintaining some of the friendships I have, but overall, I've put about 30% effort where I was always like 110% effort. So I know what it takes, and it's just like learning to trust again, and also being very realistic about my expectations of people, not getting attached to the outcome. So I was sharing with my friend today, my mentor, that I'm going to work really hard on being a better friend, paying more attention. And it's pretty silly, because maybe it's not silly, but to me it feels silly that I've had to like listen really hard to conversations with people, and then like set alarms on my phone to check up with them. And that was stuff that I used to do that just came naturally, but it's not natural anymore. And bad habits and good habits, they can be what's the word, they can be, you can form good habits just as fast as you can form bad habits, and bad habits can be replaced with good habits, but they can also be resurrected pretty easily as well. So my goal now is to just become a more attentive friend, and also understand my boundaries, that I don't have to give 110%, but 30% is probably not going to make me feel fulfilled. It's not going to build any strong bonds. And as one of the human needs, we need that love and connection. And I haven't been giving it, and I haven't been getting it, and it just doesn't feel good. So I just thought I'd share with you how I'm feeling, so I believe in public accountability. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. You can check back, and then also maybe it might trigger something that you're going through, because I'll tell you, when I was that 110% friend, it seemed like 95% of my friends were the 30% friend, and I just didn't understand it. And I get it now, but I mean, we live in a world where everybody's like, oh, it's cool as fuck not to care. And, I've kind of said the same thing, because it's easier. And that's one of the human needs as well, is certainty. That if you're just going to give 30%, that you're probably not going to get hurt as much, because you're not putting a lot of energy in there. You're not going to have any expectations. If you keep people at arm's length, you're not going to get hurt as frequently or as easily. And so understanding the human needs that we have and how to get them fulfilled in a positive way versus negative is really a key to living a more balanced and happy and healthy life.